need to sit at least 15 minutes. And as a reminder, right, they're still in sequence. These boards go to those boards. I also put my name on them and period and the time that they could come out. Now what I need to do is scrape off this stuff. Keep them in clamps because it'll hold it for you, and use a scraper. These are found on the end caps of the glue tables. And this is a two-hand process. If you're trying to hold and scrape, you just don't have enough pressure. So hold it with one hand, put some weight on it, and right, you should be able to pull up wood like that. If you're not, then either the scraper is dull or you're just not putting enough pressure on it. Eventually, we've got to cut them into 6 separate panels. And right now, this is one panel, that's the others. And so thinking this through, right, here's my left and here's my right. This is gonna be number 1, number 2, and number 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're on now step number 15. We're gonna run them through the planer, both sides. Then we'll join an edge, table saw the other edge, and then using the panel saw, we'll cut them apart. When I run this through the planer, all of my markings is gonna go away. And I wanna keep track. So I'm going to write them on the edge, 1, 2, 3. And then after I plane it, I'll put it back on the top so that I can remember what goes where. 4, 5, and 6. All right, I'm gonna set this to 7/8 one side, 13/16 the other side. Beautiful panel. Nice tight joints, can't even tell. And on the side, I've got 4, 5, 6, so I know the order. Numbers on top, since now I'm going to be removing it down below. Careful to joint the top of each one of them. I know I'm going to be removing almost, well, about a 1/4 inch, about a half inch of material. And I want it to be from the same edge of both boards so that they still line up well. Notice when I cut these large panels, I'm still cutting the same way. I'm on this side of the panel, pushing into the fence. My left hand keeps it tight. Keep going. Okay. This edge is not even, so I want to clean this one up first. To do that, I'm going to flip it over like this. And that cut right there gives me a great place so I know how much I'm removing. I just got to clean it off. I've got about an inch extra, so it's okay if I take off a little bit more. Now I'm going to flip it around, and I've got to cut my 1, 2, 3 at those dimensions, 14 and 11/16. Again at that one, and then the last one will be 13 and 3/8. Pay really close attention to what you're doing. If you flip these around, it's painful. So let's go 14 and 11/16 first. The way this is set, the inside of this triangle is set to the measurement. And notice it's backwards. So it starts at 1 and counts this direction. So there's 14, and I'm going to 11/16. Lock it in place, not too tight. If you press that too much, too hard, it'll break it. And then this comes down. You also can't be slamming this. That just moves it. So nice and easy does it. 14 and 11/16. Snug it up. Bring this over softly. Checking my measurement, we're all good. When I bring this down, I like to put that corner on the wood and then bring it through. I can start up here too, it's just that this has to go a little bit farther up. Sometimes that's a bit challenging. Now for number 3, I've got to change my measurement to 13 and 3/8. Lock it in, nice and gentle. That's our excess. So now I have my 3 panels, and I've got to do the same thing to this one. So first I'll trim off this edge, clean it up like that, flip it around, change my measurement, 14 and 11/16, 14, 11/16, and then back to 13 and 3/8 to create 3 more. I have all my panels cut. And notice how they're in order, right? So there's my 6, 5, and notice the grain running through 4, 3, right? And this is where the seam was before, 2, and finally 1. Now we're going to shape all of them. So let's bring them over here to the shaper cutter. This is the panel cutter. We're going to do the ends first, do the edges second. That's because when you cut on the end, it'll almost always blow out on this side. And by doing this second, it cleans it up. Put the sled tight to the fence. If it's off even a little bit, it'll miscut. So I'll put it tight and I'll look at it. Notice I'm on the right side of the cutter there. Cutter, right side, tight. This goes face up. The number up. We're going to do the end first. It goes in tight to the fence. Tight to the fence, tight to the fence, and then activate the clamp. Now note that I have my panel right in the center. It does not go over here. That gives me a clamp that is kind of squanted. And it'll also twist the board and give you a poor cut. Tight, tight, center, then clamp. Move freely. On, all the way through. Come back to the original place, now release. That's what I just did. If you need to do it again because it didn't get quite cut, that's okay. Tight, tight, clamp, all the way through. Both ends, tight, look at it. Try to go nice and steady through the cutter, and it'll give you a nice clean cut. If you go too slow, it'll burn the wood. If you get burn marks, you can either sand them off, or you can remove a slight amount on the table saw, 32nd of an inch, and then recut it, and it'll get rid of those burn marks. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the edges. Cut those next. Tight. Doing edges, it always tends to tear a little bit. And that's okay, because it gets covered up by the rails, the edges all the way around, or stiles and rails. And it comes in almost 3/8 of an inch. So it covers a good portion. I'm going to shape all 6 of my panels. Once I've completed these, I'm done with procedure 3.